Yes, today I would like to speak a little bit about the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous in Trinidad and Tobago. And I know some of you are aware of AA, but there's so much misconceptions out there. And even among the membership, I have found that there is differences of opinion when it comes to the history of AA and some of the services offered here. So I thought it might be useful because AA worldwide has been found to be one of the most effective support groups when it comes to dealing with alcoholism and drug addiction, to the extent where now people who are addicted or have become dependent on other substances, even prescription pills or narcotics, or even behaviors like gambling, overeating, sexual addiction, all of them have found that they could use the same format, the same program that is used by Alcoholics Anonymous to treat with and to help themselves with to get over those other addictions. And generally, AA has proven to be having a greater success rate than all the other intervention methods that we have tried in the past. So I also want to let our brothers and sisters know that this is being done because it is the anniversary date of the celebration of AA in Central Trinidad. And to that extent, the Central Intergroup of Alcoholics Anonymous is having their annual convention tomorrow at the Rivulet Road Center. It's called the CIG Annex, and it starts at registration will start at 8, but the program will start basically at 9. And it's an open meeting so that anyone who is interested in learning more about alcoholism, drug addiction, you can come and attend. So that, Alcoholics Anonymous started in 1935 in the United States by two people, Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob. And I will be I have been invited to speak at the convention on the life of one of these founders, Bill Wilson. Of course, if you want to hear about that, you can come to the convention. And if there's time in this program, I may touch on some of the features of that presentation tomorrow. But the formation of Alcoholics Anonymous in Trinidad and Tobago, and I want to give credit to a good friend, Ganesh, who is the manager of the Central Intergroup office at Rivulet Road, who compiled the information I'm going to present. So I'll be reading a little bit from the notes that he has sent me because I want to stay very true to the history, lest I would not want there to be any misconceptions in the understanding of AA because there are various opinions on this. But a brief history of Alcoholics Anonymous in Trinidad and Tobago. The journey of Alcoholics Anonymous in Trinidad and Tobago began on March 3rd, 1956, when Stanley S., convinced of his alcoholism after reading a primer on alcoholism, wrote to the General Service Office in New York. He received literature and was advised to contact someone named Reggie G. You'll notice, for those of you who are not familiar with AA, in Alcoholics Anonymous, people don't give their full name and title and so on. Most of the time, they would just give their first name and maybe the first letter of their title, so they can be identified by other members and so on. Reggie G was an affluent businessman who had been sober for several years. So Stanley was asked to contact him. And with the support of Father Brett, who offered the use of St. Mary's College Library, Reggie G. and Stanley S. held their first AA meeting on Friday, April 20th, 1956. And guess who attended? Dr. Michael Berbrand was also in attendance. He attended this, which is considered a pivotal meeting marking the inception of AA in Trinidad and Tobago. I have had a long association with Professor Bobran, who was the coordinator of the Caribbean Institute on Alcoholism and Drug Addiction. And I served voluntarily with that organization for about 25 years as a resource person. So I had a personal relationship with Dr. Bourbon, and I knew of his interest in Alcoholics Anonymous. Actually, he was one of the people who discovered AA while he was a student doctor in Ireland and had come down to Trinidad bringing one of the big books, I understand. The second meeting of AA was on May 9th in 1956. That was just 2 days later. And then just 2 days later, an advertisement in the Trinidad Guardian was officially announced the formation of Alcoholics Anonymous in the country. And meetings continued regularly. And 3 months later, on August 9, 1956, the Trinidad Guardian published two significant articles, one detailing the formation of the Port of Spain group, that is the first AA group, and another by Dr. Michael Bourbon, titled Alcoholism is a Disease. Because at that time, a lot of people felt, and still in quite a number of people worldwide believe this is a moral issue, there's still a debate going on whether it's a disease or whether it's a bad habit. And he wrote an article titled Alcoholism is a Disease and that it is treatable. Dr. Bourbon, in collaboration with medical authorities, advocated for alcoholic patients to seek help through Alcoholics Anonymous. And I can tell you, at the Caribbean Institute on Alcoholism, which was held annually, in the last days it was in Tobago, at every one of these institutes, we had AA members who were invited to present, to actually hold a meeting so that the participants could look at how a meeting was conducted. And they were allowed to ask questions to get information. So these articles generated considerable public interest, leading to the recruitment of another alcoholic, one named Carlton R. The initial Trinidad group at St. Mary's College later relocated to the Greyfriars Church Hall on Frederick Street. With the assistance of Reverend Keegan, Carlton R., and George E., and others, its membership grew to 50, and the group was subsequently renamed the Greyfriars AA Group. From these humble beginnings, AA gradually expanded beyond Port of Spain to El Dorado. El Dorado became home to the second group, holding its first meeting on August 9th, 1957. Shortly thereafter, on September 26, 1957, the first group in South Trinidad was established in Williamsville by someone named Raj, who carried the message to his brother as well, Maraj. Trinidad and Tobago proved to be fertile ground for AA, and by 1966, groups had emerged with approximately 100 members. There was the Greyfriars, El Dorado, Williamsville, St. Anne's, Tanapuna, and Sangre Grande. Other groups, including the San Fernando group, which was assisted by L.A. Purdy at the House of Refuge. And then you had Lifesavers. That group was, I think, called Lifesavers. The Tobago group and the Princestown group quickly followed. At the close of 1960 also saw the formation of the Alcoholics Treatment Center at St. Anne's, what was normally called the ATC, at St. Anne's Hospital, and AA's first intergroup committee, which served as a vital beacon to carry the AA message. And they had in those days, it was anonymous, it still is, They had a post office box and number 203. These are all historic things for, especially for AA members in Trinidad. And it is good knowledge for everyone to know that AA is not a fly-by-night organization, has been there for quite some time. So you had PO Box 203 was designated as the contact for AA through correspondence. The AA group celebrated their first anniversary convention in 1960 on Corpus Christi Day, which is June 10th. And coincidentally, June 10th is regarded as the anniversary date of the birth of AA in the United States. And at that time, there was approximately about 100 AA attendees. The emergence of a service structure gradually, a more formalized service structure began to take shape, comprising a general service board, a general service office, intergroup offices, and a general service conference. Now, between 1956 and 1977, three intergroups emerged: the Northern Intergroup, Southern Intergroup, and Central Intergroup. In the structure of AA, there are groups at the community level, and these groups send representatives to what is called an intergroup. An intergroup comprises the representatives of the various groups in that particular geographical area. And these intergroups are set up to coordinate the activities of the group and to plan activities and give service and source literature and administer to these groups so that all work collaboratively within their communities to reach alcoholics who were still suffering. The first intergroup office was established in 1977 at Basdeo House, which was on Main Road, Montrose, Chaguanas. And at that time, that intergroup serviced 12 AA groups from the area. Between 1977 and 1980, members from Central Trinidad conceived the idea of a national service structure. They successfully mobilized the Northern and Southern intergroups to form a National Assembly of Alcoholics Anonymous. This assembly shared office space with the Central Intergroup at Basdeo House, 8182 Main Road, Montrose, Chaguanas. The National Assembly comprised 8 members and officers from each of the 3 intergroups, totaling 24 individuals. Now, during this period, the AA message reached the 3 prisons in Port of Spain, Golden Grove, and Carrera. And to this date, there are still outreach programs now, and I'll speak a little bit more as we go along. Members also spoke to recruits at the Police Training College and to students in secondary schools. For the first time, the message was disseminated via radio and television, followed by newspaper articles. Now, between 1980 and 1986, the National Assembly sent delegates, and I could just give the first name of these delegates: Basdeo from Central, Bikram from North, Philip from North, Kelvin D from South, Rambaran from Central, and Kapoor from Central, to World Service meetings held biennially in locations such as New York, Mexico, and Guatemala. So as you see, the formation of these service structures was able to expand AA beyond the Trinidad and Tobago horizons. On November 17, 1984, a sharing session was held at Monroe Road Government School, inviting Northern, Southern, and Central intergroups to hear a report from the World Service meeting delegates. A crucial decision was made to dissolve the National Assembly at that meeting, and a temporary structure committee was formed with the mandate to create a general service board adhering to the guidelines of AA's service manual and the 12 concepts for world service. At this time, my own comments is that, The original General Service Board is located in New York, in Manhattan, actually, and they service the entire world structure. But now Trinidad was one of those first places in the Caribbean to start a general service board to service the needs of its membership in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, following extensive discussions and group participation, several workshops were held at Warrenville, at Longdenville Presbyterian School to address key aspects of the AA structure in Trinidad and Tobago, including what constitutes a general service structure, discussions on suitable structure plan, the purposes of a general service board, the role of the general service representative, that is, they are known as GSRs, because this was something new to Trinidad and Tobago, and the membership, change is always something not so very comfortable in life and even in organizations. So there would have, an AA being a very, very, very democratic institution, insists on consultation with all its members because these are people in recovery and they ask very hard questions sometimes. After reviewing the committee's recommendations for establishing a service structure, the groups accepted the guidelines to form the General Service Board of Alcoholics Anonymous in Trinidad and Tobago. The temporary structure planning committee was led by someone named Philip of the Samoa AA group. He was appointed as chairman, and Raj Kumar of the Aruka AA group as secretary. Other volunteer members included Simbu, who was treasurer. He was from Chagonas, and Pacheco from Point 14. Jagdev was from Point 14 as well, and Charlie from Wisdom number 1, Job from Wisdom number 2 AA groups, and Raj from Esperanza, Mohammed from Barakpo, Andrew from the Kelly AA group, Patrick from Providence, Rambaran from Longdenville, Ramudit from Monroe Road, Budu from the Ragunanan Road AA group. You had Dan from the Ragunanan Road AA group, and Bikram from Davidi. These things I know may not mean very much to people who are not members of the fellowship, but I know these will bring back a lot of nostalgic memories for people who are members of AA. With the exception of Andrew and Raj and Mohammed, 14 of these members were unanimously accepted by the conference to serve as trustees of the General Service Board for 1 year. Finally, on May 19, 1985, at the Gasparillo Composite School, the first General Service Conference ratified and approved the inaugural General Service Board of Trustees of Trinidad and Tobago, cementing the formal service structure for AA in the nation. The formation of the General Service Conference structure in Trinidad and Tobago and this continued, and in 1986, led by another AA member named Gabriel, he started a public information committee to implement an education and mobilization program. Our General Service Board, because there was still some amount of misunderstanding, misconceptions of the role and service and function of the General Service Board. So I suppose I assume that this was an effort to deal with these misconceptions that may have existed. This program, approved by the committee, aimed to achieve the following objectives: to educate members about the General Service Board. This included its composition, qualifications for board members, election processes, and tenure, which included, of course, rotation. It was also to highlight the importance and role of the General Service representative so that in each area you had a GSR, General Service Representative, and an alternate that would now attend the General Service Board conferences. It was also to explain the General Service Conference, because this is where very important and major decisions about the AA in Trinidad and Tobago would be discussed and resolved. It was also to address financial aspects of the board, its support and its financial support. Implementation of the program began on October 10th, 1987. There was phase one, which involved pocket meetings, again, consultations like what we have today as town meetings, held across Trinidad and Tobago, followed by an assessment. A second round of pocket meetings, phase two, concluded with these key findings. Members were aware of the existence of a General Service Board. The membership possessed basic knowledge of the General Service Board and its function. A significant percentage of membership was willing to support a national body, the General Service Board. Well, you will always have a little bit of oppositions when you have new things like this, Concerns that the board would usurp the responsibilities of the intergroups were dispelled. Members now understood that the board and intergroups would always cooperate for the good of the fellowship. Members recognized that the democratic process would prevail at conferences. The General Service Board has since become an integral part of AA in Trinidad and Tobago, and navigating various challenges since its inception. However, the dedicated office bearers, trusted servants of AA, have continued to carry AA's message nationally and internationally with unwavering commitment. I will pause here at this moment so we take a little commercial, and we'll come back and then complete my discussion on the formation and service of AA, the history of AA in Trinidad and Tobago, in the next segment. So over to the station.